Well, being that we're just in month three of the new year, I haven't read anything yet, but if I was to change anything, it would pretty much just be where a certain client that I said yes to, I should have said no. I went against my better judgment.
For me, I would change the anxiety that people are feeling now, the anxiety that in the atmosphere. Persons have not wanted to leave their homes, persons are fearful. Anything that could have done to change that, I would. Thank you for participating. Thank you for just responding. And officially, we are starting our meeting. What time is it?
7:06.
So it's now 7:06, and our meeting is, I did the icebreaker already. Before the welcome, I was just giving everyone. So welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I trust that you had a wonderful week in spite of you are here. And being here and you're alive, you've had a great week. You're not lying in a hospital bed. You don't have tubes hooked up to you. And you're not lying on a cold table. Therefore, you have much to give to our clients too. So we're here, so I welcome you. For those of you who will do the presentation, thank you so much for taking the time for being here with us. My name is Francisco Leopold. I'm a board member, and I'm also the chair for the Health and Social Services Committee. And we'll go around the table introducing and just not giving any elaborate on the organization, but just where you're from, your name and where you're from, your organization.
Hello, my name is Karima. I'm from the neighborhood, Brooklyn. I currently work for the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, as well as I am a community resident member committee of this Health and Social Services Committee since 2019.
Hi everyone, I'm Maddie O'Neill. I'm here from Start Care. It's a community-based behavioral health care organization. And I lived in the area for a while, but I'm a Community Board 8 resident, Community Board 9, so neighbors.
My name is Bakri Chanja. I am board member and I am the co-founder of the Abolition Institute, a human rights organization based in Chicago. And I have served on the board of the Black Immigration Coalition for 10 years.
I am Billy Martin again. I'm a community resident member. I'm currently a part of the Youth and Education Committee. I'm a media maker, concentration in TV production and podcast production, but I'm also a graphic designer, and I have an 8-year-old in the 3rd grade.
So how many hats?
Many. I would usually just tell people to go to my website, because I'm not big on running down my resume.
Yeah.
I'm not big on that.
Hi everyone, my name is Carol Bartley. I'm a CV9 resident and I've been here off and on since the age of 10, and I'm a nurse. I work in the community.
I'm Julianne Roman. I work for American Cancer Society, so I'm one of the speakers tonight. And I live in Community Board 6.
Community Board 6. Okay. So in my role here as chair, outside I work with the New York City Commission on Human Rights as a associate human rights specialist, and I also serve. I'm not gonna give out all the hats. I just leave that one at a time. But I also serve on the review board at Kings County Hospital. So I welcome each and every one of you here, because we have 2 presentations. So we will the presentation will condense the presentation will not, because I would like us to be at a reasonable time. Since your presentation is pretty short, few minutes, so I will allow. Okay, before we go to your presentation, what's your name again?
Billy Martin.
Ms. Martin.
It's not a presentation, it's an update.
An update.
Yeah.
So I just want the board, the committee members to just take a look at the minutes presented, and if there are any changes, any corrections. I know that we have about 2 corrections or something. So we will just make a note of that for Miss Miss Rustin to be corrected. And I think that's,
Her name is correct on the meeting minutes. Her name is correct on the meeting minutes.
on the meeting minutes, okay. Yeah, so if you, as you read it, if there are any changes before we approve the minutes.
Yeah, my name is Mark, absent. I think I had a reply saying that I was not doing well.
I know that you were sick.
Yeah.
So you did so we'll make a correction because you did send, so it should be an excuse absent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. A motion to approve the minutes, please.
To approve.
Okay. Second?
Yes, second.
Okay. The minutes for January 16th has been approved, and we will go into the agenda. So we did our check-in, and before I go into the wellness day, I'm just going to allow my sister just to give us an update on the program coming up.
Okay, so I don't know if you did attend last week's community board meeting, general board meeting. I mentioned we voted on these two events. Unfortunately,
I
there's
wasn't
no.
there.
Oh no? Okay, so we have two events coming up with youth and education. One of them is a street fair for age 14 to 24, and the other one is an education town hall. The career fair was scheduled for March 15th. Unfortunately, that's being postponed for April date, but we are trying to, sign up volunteers for the event from community members first before outside. And it's pretty much just having volunteers helping with sign-in, vendor registration. If you know some vendors that may want to set up there, this is the place to do it. It's for everyone, but it's concentration. Our main focus is the 14 to 24. There'll be resume workshops, appearance and so on and so forth from 10 to 4, and there's a presentation at 2 to 4. Yeah, so if you know anyone or know any vendors that may be interested in setting up there, this will be the QR code to sign them up. And if you would like to volunteer, this is the QR code to sign up for.
Sorry, just for the career fair or the street fair?
This is the career fair. This is just a flyer for the volunteers. I guess it was a misunderstanding that people thought this was the actual event flyer, so they got a bunch of questions about information that wasn't on this because this wasn't the event flyer. This is just for volunteers. So I just want to make sure that.
And what date is it again?
This is an April date. They're postponing this one,
Okay.
but right now they're just trying to gather volunteers and vendors that want to set up for it. But this is official. This is April 5th. This is the Education Town Hall. There are QR codes, one RSVP and one to sign up if you are interested in being a panelist. The concentration is pretty much to talk education, and we are open to, more panelists in the education field, regardless if it's security, whatever it is. If you know someone in a higher executive role that you think will be a great, asset or addition to the conversation, you can just sign them up and we go from there. This is officially April 5th. This is not postponed. And it's at Clara Barton High School. And it will be live streamed on YouTube and Facebook. And these are both in the front.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
I know most of the time when I've attended career fairs, they have everything else other than mental health.
And that's right. And that's one of the focal points as to what they're trying to reach out for. That's also one of the areas I would like to have represented in this town hall. We haven't seen our presentation yet you will in the future. board meetings, but that's on my list of to have mental health specialists a part of this conversation.
Yeah, because I think when it comes, especially with the youth, when you bringing the youth in, they kind of, their attention span kind of ain't that long, you know, and then they kind of just start getting them going to the phone and they start losing focus. So I think that it would be, I'm just giving a suggestion.
No, it's a great one because it's one that's like we're collecting.
Yeah.
It's definitely on the radar.
So
So,
I-
you know somebody in mental health,
Yeah,
but that would be great for that conversation, please.
so I think that we should have like a sidebar conversation where, so they may have parents and they have grown-ups, and then you can split them, you know, and have the grown-ups on one section and have the youth, because when the youth are by themselves, they verbalize, they talk, you know, and some of them, they have a lot of things that's going on in their mind, and they just don't want to, especially if their parents are there, they don't want to talk about it. But if they're together with their peers and they're together with someone who really don't know them, they can just open up and you know, because most of them, we don't want to be judged. So sometimes when we're in the presence of strangers, we're able to really give it out opposed to somebody that we know. So when you have it, something like that, and it's like maybe 3, 4, 5 hours, they will not just sit down and just listen. Because at one time I started hearing Bugs Bunny. You know, for me, I just kept hearing this person just talking and talking, I just lose focus. And the youth, they are worse, you know. So you tend to, it's better like if you kind of have a session for them, you know, have a conversation.
This job fair is for 14 to 24.
Okay.
This is a conversation for parents and up and
So now for parents, you need to do that for both of them. Because parents, when it comes to both the youth, you need to bring in a conversation when it comes to mental health, and for the parents as well.
Right, this is the job fair. This
Yeah.
is where different vendors.
So you're not gonna have any youth at this one?
If they attend, sure.
Okay.
But the concentration is amongst the professional executives,
Okay.
superintendents, principals,
I
so
got
on
you.
and so forth.
So this is just for the job fair? Okay.
Right, this is just for the.
But in the
career fair for
future,
the-
because this is something that I'm really looking to do, because I've been on the committee on the review board at Kings County, so I've partnered with the behavioral health at Kings County, and so what I'm doing, I'm penetrating the schools, you know, to talk to the parents, have a side of the parents and the children, you know, and bring some awareness, because when people hear mental health, they think of crazy, you know, but there's so many things that affect our people, and they misdiagnose mental health, you know, they just think that somebody's crazy. So I think with the committee that you're on, it is something that even though it does not pertain, you cannot use it right now, but think of it in the future to make it part of your whatever that you're planning.
Oh, it is, definitely, but we want someone to represent that area
Okay.
in the conversation.
Okay, you have a mental health
So-
person right
Okay, so just.
So I'm not a clinician, that's not my expertise. We do have a youth mental health program.
Yeah,
And I mean, I can see if anyone could be available to join you all.
cool.
I will, yes, I guess, can I take your information and
Right
I'll
here.
just, okay, great, can I just take a picture of it?
Yep.
Okay.
Remember you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just, brief insight.
Oh, sorry, real quick. If you do know, if someone that is interested in being a panel, ask them if they're interested in doing a 3 to 5 minute exercise.
Okay, like leading it for the parents and
Yes.
the attendees in general, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I just pass this around? since we're-
It's more.
It's up there, okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sure. Just some insight for future stuff, that one thing I do know, personally, I grew up in a Caribbean household. It is very, very, very hard, sitting your Caribbean parent, old school parent down and explaining about mental health, let alone why you actually need it, when the other combination too, a lot of kids are not gonna wanna speak up in front of their parents because, well, like Francisca said, they fear being judged. And second of all, if you come from a Christian background, it's a little bit worse, because from a Christian background there that they'll just put it as, oh, you're not trying hard enough, you
You
just
have
need to,
faith.
you don't have enough faith, you just need to pray more and go to church more, and that is the devil's talking. But seriously though, the youth's mental health has me worried, and even though I'm relatively young, I can honestly say they got it worse than I did at the same age, and it wasn't even that long ago, like 10, 15 years ago. So that definitely also needs to be considered as well, the stigma of mental health, not just for kids, but also their parents and the generation that the parents come from, because my mother is from the baby boomer generation, and so is my father, and getting both of them to understand mental health that is crucial and needed is a bigger task than most people can swallow.
So that's the reason that we need professionals who are able to come and break it down.
Hence
and
this
educate them.
conversation.
Yeah. So I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for
and
listening.
If you
And
want to
again-
stay, you can stay. If you want
Yeah,
to
I gotta go pitch to them
leave,
too.
okay.
I gotta
Thank you
hit
so
all
much.
the committees to make sure everybody have the correct
Mhm.
information.
Yes.
Cause a lot of confusion going on.
Yeah,
But
thank
it's
you.
nice meeting everybody.
Thank you.
and
Nice to
I'll-
meet you.
Yeah,
I'll
Good
reach
seeing you
out.
again.
Yes, and
Thank you.
yeah, our contact information is on there. Dante knows how to reach me directly.
Okay. Great.
Nice meeting everybody.
Have a
Okay,
good night.
very good. And you good. All right, so I'm just gonna, I will not skip, I'll just go down on what we have. So we are planning senior wellness fair. This senior wellness, it will be on June 11th. So in collaboration with Community Board 9, Assembly Member Cunningham's office, Kings County Hospital, and Dumpstead Hospital. So those are the, and I think,
Wait, who else is going to be part of it? You said
So the-
Downstate's part of it as well?
yeah, so Dumpstead Hospital,
And Kings County?
Kings County, Cunningham, Cunningham's office.
Assemblyman
Yes,
Cunningham's office.
Community Board 9. Right, so just to give you an insight as to, we have already put in for the permit has been done, he has already put in for the permit. So we'll have entertainment for the children, we have the bouncy house and everything. And then the wellness fair, it includes a spa day also for the seniors. So they will be doing yoga and laughing yoga, and they'll be getting the nails done and getting the massage done and stuff like that. So we'll have different areas. So that will be right there on East New York between Albany and 50, is it Brooklyn or Troy? I don't remember the next street. But it's Albany coming back, so Albany and Lefferts, and if you're coming back this way, the next street, I don't remember what the next street is.
Oh, Troy,
It's Troy, right?
Albany, Troy.
Albany, Troy, okay. So not going towards Utica, coming back this way, what's that street? If you're living here and you're you're going towards Albany, what's that street before?
Albany is going across.
You're right,
Right.
but if you're coming, whichever street that's going across before Albany, that's Troy?
No, Albany and
So
Troy
that's
parallel to each other.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So is that Brooklyn?
Kingston, Brooklyn,
Maybe
New York.
Kingston?
East New York Avenue, is that
So
what
it's
you're talking
on East New York.
Mm-hmm,
So if you live here and you're on East New York and you're walking going towards Utica,
okay.
the street before
Albany
Albany.
is Kingston Avenue.
Kingston Avenue, yeah. So, and there's that park right there in the corner. So we will be utilizing the park and utilizing the school park, because it has that soft turf, so that it's, seniors will be able to, do this stuff there. So it's June 11th, our rain date is June 12th. So we already, put in for that. So we are looking for, what I would also like, when we are having those meetings, I would like the committee members to attend those meetings, so that you know exactly what's been said, what's been done, and if you have an input. I don't want to be the only person, so there's maybe a day that I'm not able to be there, and I will just let you know in advance, so you can. And,
What meetings are those? Meetings?
Just the planning meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, the planning meeting, and it's not in person, because usually I would go in person at the assembly member Cunningham's office, but I've asked the chief of staff to let it be virtual, so it makes it more convenient for persons, so if I'm not able to be there. Then, because sometimes you can join and you can just listen. Sometimes you may be working, you just have your earpiece on, you just listen if you're not, and if you just want to chime to say something. So that's where we are with that. The mental health forum, I'm just gonna do the mental health forum. The conversation still continues. We'll be meeting next week also for discussion on the mental. So we are looking to have a 3-part mental health forum. So the first one will just be the awareness. We're gonna have the community conversation. Then we'll be doing one for men, and for Men's Day in November. And then the clergy will be coming and be part of that as well, because the churches, pastors, we want to bring them all together, to have a conversation when it comes to men, because women talk. I'm gonna call you and say, girl, and you see me and you say, you doing okay? I said, girl, I didn't have a good day at all. This person really messed me up at work, and then I had to give them, and then she will be able to tell me, girl, I hear you. Men don't do that. Men hold in everything. They just, how are you? What's going on? I'm good, my brother. I'm good. And they just keep it going. They pump and they just keep it going. And the heart is just full and the mind is just full, and they don't know how to express themselves. They just keep everything in. And it affects them. And we want our men to be mentally stable. You are not crazy. We just want you to be able to, there's a pastor you can call, there might be a church friend that you can call if you don't want to talk to your family member, because each and every one of us go through stuff. We all go through that. It could be with your wife, it could be your husband, it could be with your sister, it could be your brother, it could be children, it could be at work. Each and every one, we experience something in our lives. But the women, we have a way that we just talk. Some women don't, but the majority of the women do. We talk. There is someone that we can trust. But our brothers, our fathers, our uncles, our sons, they don't talk. So we want our men in our community to come to that place to understand it's okay to talk, okay to get somebody. So we're gonna have a conversation, and the women are not gonna be there. Just the men. We're gonna have the time together, and so that's what so for Men's Day, we're gonna have that conversation. And for persons, as Karima was saying, coming from the Caribbean, someone is having an issue, they never seek for any help. Oh, he's just crazy. His father was crazy, his grandfather was crazy, he's just crazy. It's just a generational thing, and they don't seek help and sit down and talk. So they just think that it's taboo to talk about mental health. So hence the reason why when we are sending out the flyer, we are very mindful that we don't want to put mental health, because anybody see mental health and it's another conversation and people being crazy. So we just want to word it differently to caption, so it could capture people that they want to come to see what the conversation is all about.
So, here's a suggestion on the flyer. Would it make better sense if we coded it as Wellness Day instead of mental health?
Yeah,
Because Wellness Day, wellness covers
Covers
under a
everything.
lot of different umbrellas, and
Yeah.
therefore
Yeah.
make it less stigmatizing.
Yeah, that works. Thank you. All right,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah.
my comment also is that maybe it will be very interesting to try to capture what are the different ways people cope with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So as you
Yes.
said, women tend to express, openly, easily. So men may find different ways to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, for instance, someone can be passionate about, martial arts when you are there,
Mm-hmm.
and, different activities. But I think if you know, there's a possibility to identify what activities could be qualified as a way of
Yeah.
expressing.
Mhm.
I think that could be also, to some extent, innovative.
Yeah. Wonderful. That is good. We go to the spa and we lay down and get a massage. We go out with girls and we have a glass of wine, we talk about, yeah, so we'll have some more conversation on that. The next meeting I will send out so those members of the committee could come and just hear, and then we'll move on from that. Okay, and remember we have our, I haven't seen any traffic in the chat we have,
Not everybody's on WhatsApp.
I understand that, but so if you're not on WhatsApp, please get on WhatsApp. Because you are on WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
You're on Kermit on
Yeah.
WhatsApp and you are on WhatsApp as well. So what I did, I just continue using the WhatsApp chat we had, so we just, any suggestions or anything, you see something and then something that you think that we should address, and the next week, to just bring it up to my attention. As if you meet someone on the street, and I'm not really on the street, but this is that you would frequent, you might have a conversation with somebody, and that person has some interest in ideas to come to the table or do a presentation, just invite them, just let me know, and invite them and put it in the chat and say, hey, I met this person, and then, I would let think it is a good idea for that person to come to the thing. Okay? All right, what time is it now?
7:32.
Wonderful. So the next half an hour for the presentation. So we have two presentations. We have Start Care, and then we have the American Cancer. So American Cancer Society was supposed to present with us last month, but because
It's bad weather, I think.
we had to
Snowstorm.
postpone them, so she's here with us today, and she's a very busy lady, and she's all over the place in New York. So I will give you floor. So you have 15 minutes or less. If you could do it in 10 minutes, that would be good.
I can try.
And
Dante didn't share my slides, did he?
I didn't see.
That's fine. Well, we're just gonna wing it. It'll just be a conversation. If you
Yeah,
guys
we
are
can have.
okay.
I love conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then afterwards, we will have this Start Here. And as I said, as I mentioned to the two ladies before, is that we have persons who usually come and do the presentations, but after they do presentations, we don't see them. And I would like us to have a continued connection with them. Because when we have resources, we have different stuff, that we need to connect. And then when we have the board meeting, at least I would like our committee to be able to present at least maybe once a quarter or something to present to the board. Cancer Society, big thing in our in our community. Start Care, I think it's mental health as well, and it is a big thing in our community as well. So so I can put in a slot and say, okay, this month I would like Cancer Society to come in and do a short presentation. So if you can come to the meeting, just send, you don't have to be every month. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming.
Of course, I'm looking at my watch to make sure I have 10 minutes. So my name is Julianne Roman. I'm with American Cancer Society. My title is Associate Director for Community Partnerships. Today I'm speaking on behalf of the New York City Colorectal Cancer Control Coalition, C5 for short. So most of the information is coming from a mix of C5 and American Cancer Society. So I don't know how many of you know, but March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. So today we're going to be talking about colorectal cancer. Full disclosure, we're going to be talking about bowels and poop and things that aren't super pleasant. So I hope everybody ate. And if you're eating later, just forget about the presentation.
That is very important.
Yeah.
And this is a presentation I would really like to hear out in the opening. I mean, for the
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So to understand colorectal cancer, it helps to know about the normal structure and function of the colon and rectum. So the colon and rectum make up the large intestine, and that's part of the digestive system. Most of the large intestine is made up of the colon, and that's a muscular tube that's about 5 feet long. The colon absorbs water and salt from remaining food matter after it goes through the small intestine, and then waste matter that's left after going through the colon goes into the rectum, and that's the final 6 inches of the digestive system. So when you develop colorectal cancer, it usually starts as a growth on the inner lining of the colon or rectum. Those growths are called polyps. Polyps are pretty common, especially as you get older. Most polyps will be benign, but sometimes those types of polyps can grow into colorectal cancer. So when you catch a polyp before it turns into cancer, you have more success in removing cancer before it develops into something a little bit more serious. So the American Cancer Society estimates that there will be 154,270 new cases of colorectal cancer in 2025, and in New York, that's estimated to be about 8,920 people. Overall, the lifetime risk of developing colorectal cancer is about 1 in 23 for men and 1 in 25 for women. But that could be dependent on other folks, on people's risk factors, which I'll talk about a little bit further. So some information about colorectal cancer. It's the 3rd most diagnosed cancer in the US. However, it ranks 2nd in cancer-related deaths overall, and it's the leading cause of cancer death, in men younger than age 50. We recently put out a report that showed in 2025 the incidence rates for colorectal cancer are on the rise in those younger than 50. So this is definitely a big concern that we're noticing. In 2019, 20%, or about 1 in 5 diagnosed cases of colorectal cancer were in people ages 54 or younger. So it is a concern for younger folks as well. I have information about graphs, which you can't see, but want to mention that incidence rates are relatively equal in New York City across racial and ethnic groups. However, Black New Yorkers die from colorectal cancer at higher rates compared to other racial and ethnic groups, as well as compared to the city average. So I'm happy to share slides afterwards so you can take a look at the graph. It breaks it up by community board as well. So individuals could be at a higher or lower risk of developing colorectal cancer based on certain risk factors. Risk factor is anything that raises your chances of getting a disease. So some risk factors can't be changed. So if someone could be considered higher risk of developing colorectal cancer if they have a personal or family history of colorectal cancer or polyps, if they have an inherited syndrome called, or such as like Lynch syndrome or other syndromes that are tied into developing colorectal cancer, or if somebody has a personal history of inflammatory bowel disease. Now, some people who get colorectal cancer don't have any known risk factors. That also happens sometimes. So it's just important to talk. No, it's okay. To talk to a healthcare provider if any of the risk factors do apply to you. There are also lifestyle-related factors that have been linked to colorectal cancer, and more than half of all colorectal cancers are linked to risk factors that can be changed. So if somebody is overweight or obese, their risk of developing and dying from colorectal cancer is higher. Getting to and staying at a healthy weight typically reduces your risk of getting colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer has also been linked to moderate to heavy alcohol use. So it really is best not to drink alcohol, but some people don't like to hear that. So if people do drink alcohol, we do recommend no more than 2 drinks a day for men and 1 drink a day for women. And then people who smoke tobacco for a long time are more likely to develop colorectal cancer, as well as many other cancers. I'm sure we are very familiar that lung cancer is caused by smoking tobacco. And then finally, a long-term diet that's high in red meats and processed meats raises your colorectal cancer risk. So a diet that has lots of fruits, veggies, and whole grains is really helpful to reducing colorectal cancer risk. Again, nothing is definite, but these are steps that you can take to reduce your risk. Checking my time. Okay, so colorectal cancer might not cause symptoms right away, but if it does, you might see blood in your stool, which might make it look dark brown or black, cramping or belly pain, a change in your bowel habits that's different from what you usually have, any weakness or fatigue or unintended weight loss. Now, importantly, a lot of those symptoms can be linked to other diseases, so it's just important that, if you are noticing a change, it doesn't necessarily indicate colorectal cancer, so it's just important to talk to a doctor about what you're experiencing. And then the last big thing I want to talk about is the different types of tests used to screen for colorectal cancer. So a lot of people, when they think of colorectal cancer, they think of colonoscopies, but there are other tests available. So for a colonoscopy, this is when the doctor looks at the entire length of the colon and rectum with a tube and a small video camera on the end. The American Cancer Society recommends that getting a colonoscopy should be taking place every 10 years. We don't have any guidelines specifically for those who are considered higher risk, but typically that's a conversation you can have with your doctor if you need to get screened more frequently. And then the second options are stool-based tests. These are tests that can be done in the privacy of your own home. These tests look for blood in the stool. Now that doesn't always indicate colon cancer, but it just means that more testing is needed. So there is a fecal immunochemical test, it's called a FIT test, and that checks for hidden blood in the stool from the lower intestines. There's also the guaiac-based fecal occult blood test, and that checks for blood in your stool through a chemical reaction. Both of those can be done once a year, and if your test doesn't show anything, you're good. You don't have to worry about anything until the next year. If your FIT test comes back positive, you do need a follow-up colonoscopy just to make sure that it's not colon cancer that you're seeing. The third test is called multi-targeted stool DNA test with fecal immunochemical testing, FIT-DNA for short, and that looks for abnormal sections of DNA from cancer or polyp cells and for hidden blood. That, I don't know if anybody has seen Cologuard commercials, so that's Cologuard. That test should take place every 3 years. And again, if you are seeing a positive test, just make sure you schedule colonoscopy to get checked. What's most important, no matter what, is that you get screened for colon cancer. Doesn't matter which test you take. ACS recommends that people at average risk start at age 45. That's lower. It used to be age 50. It's now starting at age 45. People who are in good health and with a full life expectancy of more than 10 years should continue through age 75. People at increased risk may want to start earlier than 45. So the example that I like to give is that my grandmother died from colorectal cancer. My mom found polyps when she was 50. So I will start colorectal cancer screening at age 40 because you start 10 years before the age at which your parent found polyps. So I'm starting earlier than 45. So 5-year survival rate for colorectal cancer is 91%, but that's if it's caught early. So when you catch colon cancer early before it has a chance to spread, your chance of surviving is 91%. That's great. It means that regular screening can prevent colorectal cancer. So in summary, what's most important, colorectal cancer screening starts at age 45, potentially earlier, if you have a family history. It's important to talk to your doctor if you're noticing anything strange or unusual in your bowel movements. To reduce your risk, eat healthy, exercise, maintain a healthy body weight, avoid smoking, avoid drinking, or reduce your drinking, and just get screened no matter which test is available. Talk to your doctor about what the right one is. I represent American Cancer Society, so I'm going to talk about quickly some ACS resources we have. The first is cancer.org. This is our website. You can go for all sorts of information on colorectal cancer, how to prevent it, signs, symptoms, information about all of the tests that are available. Cancer.org is a great place to go. We also have a 24/7 helpline, which you can find on our website. You can call that. The information is available in multiple languages. You can call at any point to ask questions about colorectal cancer, getting connected to care. If you're looking for specific resources, it's a great place to go. And then we also have findhelp.cancer.org. Findhelp.cancer.com. And that's where you can go to get to find information about resources in the community. You search by zip code and it'll pull up information. So if you're looking for a food pantry because you need access to nutritious food, you can look for food pantry in the community. Department of Health also has a ton of resources on colorectal cancer. Love the resources they have available, and you can order them just by calling 311. I'm sure a lot of the resources I'm even talking about are going to sound familiar. My favorite are they have novellas that are essentially little comic books with information about colorectal cancer screening. Easy to read, I think easy to read on a toilet. So, you're taking your test for colorectal cancer, you can read the novella right there. A lot of great resources from Department of Health, definitely direct you there. And then if you don't have a healthcare provider, one option is to visit New York City Health and Hospitals, and you can get help setting up an appointment. They can also connect you to insurance in case you need it. And then the last thing, I promise, I'm a little over, I apologize. I want to tell you about a study that American Cancer Society is currently doing. I'm going to give you these flyers if you're allowed to take them. So we're really focused on health disparities in New York. I talked about, Black people are more likely to die from colorectal cancer. So the American Cancer Society back in May launched our Voices of Black Women study to get a better understanding of what's leading to health disparities for Black women and to increase representation of Black women in research. So we're recruiting women between the ages of 25 to 55 who haven't had a history of a cancer diagnosis. It's a very easy process. You fill out a survey once or twice a year about your life experiences, some information about your health. It's completely anonymous, and it's a study by Black women for Black women. If you go to voices.cancer.org, you can find more information, enroll, learn about the study. If you're going to the Brooklyn Disparities Symposium tomorrow, our lead researcher, Dr. Lauren McCulloch, is going to be giving a 10-minute overview of Voices of Black Women study. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have about colorectal cancer. New York City Department of Health has a lot of resources, as well as American Cancer Society. So apologies I went a little over.
Yeah, so we're gonna hold the questions. Anybody have questions? We'll hold it for the ending, and then I'm going to
Great.
Thank you so much. Wonderful
Yeah, thank
information.
you. I learned a lot. And I have
Yeah.
family history, so that's good stuff too.
Right.
Okay. So as I said, I'm Maddie O'Neill. I am here from Stark Care. We have been in New York City for 55 years now. Founded by like a really incredibly pioneering Black doctor who's an anesthesiologist, but he kind of saw the need he saw kind of like emerging opioid addiction issues, particularly among war veterans, and was really tapped into kind of the pioneering research around effective treatments, and he really helped to bring methadone to New York City. And so methadone is one of the strongest evidence-based treatments for opioid use disorder. It reduces the risk of overdose fatalities significantly, as well as like all the other kind of harms that are associated with drug use. So that's kind of a little bit about our origins. He's a fascinating guy. There's a lot more information about him on this first slide, but I'll just skip through it now for the sake of time. Who we are today, we have 6 locations between Brooklyn and Manhattan. In Brooklyn, we are in Clinton Hill, East New York, and Bushwick. And in Manhattan, we are in East Harlem, Central Harlem, and Washington Heights. And, in addition to the direct care that we provide, we also have a pretty robust, research arm, and I guess moving on to from the Who We Are page. Sorry, slow me down if I'm going too fast, but I'm trying to get to the important stuff here. this is just kind of a snapshot of the different folks that we serve, and what we provide care for. So currently for adults, we treat opioid use disorder, again, like our main method for this is methadone and buprenorphine, which are really like the gold standard high quality treatment. We also can care for adults who have alcohol or other substance use disorders, and this includes a specialized program for folks who have coexisting substance use and mental health disorders. This really requires specialized care, so we have a program for that. As I mentioned before, we have a youth mental health program, and most recently we've developed a community engagement program that involves street-based outreach as well as trainings for all different kind of like wide-ranging community members, whether it's like a local business, it could be a community board, faith-based organizations providing trainings and kind of what we are seeing in New York City around mental health and addiction, what the factors are that involve correcting misinformation, and then trying to prepare people with sort of like some practical strategies and knowledge to navigate these issues in our communities. Well, this is a snapshot of what we're currently doing. We really are like rapidly expanding in a lot of ways. And in the next year or so, we will be able to provide like mental health services to really the entire lifespan, ages 5 and up, as well as treat a lot more, just kind of building out our services for different substance use disorders. It's also important to note that our model for all of these programs, we're not just treating the one diagnosis, they're really kind of like holistic person-centered programs. So we have primary care providers, they're focused mostly on the infectious and chronic diseases that most impact our population, but they can kind of provide the full suite of primary care services to folks. And in our addiction treatment programs, we have, mental health services as well. So we're really kind of looking at the whole person and not just treating like the drug use or addiction. So what I'm here to talk about today, and is most relevant to you all, is that we will be launching, probably not until 2026, so I'm here early and I plan to come back, a mobile medication unit. And so what the mobile medication unit is a like mobile vehicle that we will use to provide all of the services of an opioid treatment program, but to people who cannot access those specialty programs. So one important distinction about methadone and buprenorphine, those medications I mentioned that have like the strongest evidence base for people with opioid use disorder, they are really hard to access. Methadone in particular can only be given out by like very, very specialized programs. So we will be deploying this mobile medication unit to bring that care to people who otherwise face barriers to it. And so specifically, our approach to this will be bringing those services to people who are in residential care facilities. So this includes like skilled nursing facilities in particular I'm interested in, but also substance use and mental health disorder programs that don't have the resources to provide these medications. These facilities, while they might have a really high proportion of people who need methadone and could benefit from these services, face a lot of challenges connecting people with care. And so the consequences there are that the residents who need those services, if they get them, it's probably like lower quality services, like they're not kind of getting the whole like full person care that they deserve and is like shown to be most effective. But also sometimes these programs are kind of putting a cap on who they'll intake, who needs these medications. So we really are looking to kind of bridge that gap. We think that like anyone with opioid use disorder should be able to access the highest quality of care regardless of if they're, in a place where they have an acute care need that puts them in a residential program. And one important note, the people who are discharged from emergency rooms for overdose are often discharged to skilled nursing facilities. And this is more likely to happen for older adults, and there's overlap with those in New York City who are still kind of carrying the burden of the overdose crisis, which is really older Black and brown men over the age of 55. So I think it's really important to kind of get this program out there to make sure that people are getting the best forms of care. really quickly, the reason I'm here talking to you all is one of kind of our areas of interest in deploying this program is Crown Heights. We are taking a need-based approach to this. So Crown Heights has a higher than average overdose fatality rate than the citywide average. In speaking with kind of electeds and other community organizations, we recognize that there's not necessarily a plethora of opioid treatment programs in the area, and there might be like transportation or other barriers that mean that people who are in residential programs here might not be getting that care. And then we also, already have some kind of community and elected support and investment in us providing the services here as well. I already kind of mentioned who we'd be looking to serve, but it's adults in residential care facilities who have opioid use disorder, and if they have any of these kind of other things in the gray boxes, these vehicles will really bringing the whole suite of services, so we will be able to provide care for, whatever it is that they need. This last page is a snapshot of kind of like all the different services that we'll be equipped to provide. I envision, depending on the residential program, like some might have primary care on site, so we won't provide that as much to those folks. I think the volume at which we offer these things will really be tailored to the needs of the partner facility and the residents there. Some things I'm excited about is the ability to, in addition to, parking these vans in their parking lots and making sure residents get the medication and care they need, we want to work with organizations that are interested in really like a strong collaborative partnership, maybe provide like caregiver support and education groups, harm reduction trainings for staff. There's a lot of stigma around not just addiction obviously, but also like methadone, these treatments that can really save lives. So we're hoping to use the opportunity not just to care for individuals, but to maybe make some systems change as well. That is, I know it's a lot of information and I'm verbose and I spoke really quickly. But again, this will probably not be happening until like early 2026 at earliest. It might be more like spring 2026. But again, like we want to engage you all early. We will keep updated on our progress. I would love to hear any questions or feedback. And if you know of any residential programs that maybe could benefit from this, we definitely will be connecting with folks. And I'll leave it at that.
So I have two questions.
Yes. Okay.
I'm looking at the time. Both presentations very important, as I said before, because when we have our board meetings, the agenda is so wide.
Yeah.
It's a huge agenda, and how much can you condense your presentation for 5 minutes? 5 minutes to do a presentation, a 5 minutes presentation, and it's something for you.
I could do that.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'll let you know, Dante will let you know, as to which month that we can have you both the same month, for different month, and because it's something that I have been looking for, like every quarter we do a presentation, and I would really like very much for you to come back to do that, and then also we will be, I have to talk to Dante because I don't know when the board we usually have a summer resource fair, so that you could come and bring information for the, even though yours will be in the next year or so.
We're still here.
Yeah, but whatever information that
Yes.
can be used now, that could be given out
Definitely.
to the because I think a few years ago, I did ask for the Cancer Society to come in to do a presentation, but they didn't come. We wanted them to be part of, to have it some kind of process.
Yeah, I work with community partners, so federally qualified health centers, community-based organizations. So I cover all of New York City. I work with DOH is one of the folks that I work with. So if there's ever things that you're doing in the community, you can reach out to me to
Right.
get resources or whatever you need.
My question to you: how close do you work with the hospitals?
We are working on building closer relationships with them. We're building, working with Woodhull right now to kind of develop a specific referral system with them, especially for the folks who they're serving who are living on the street. So just harder for them to get to like any kind of appointments. We have a partnership with New York Presbyterian, but we're really like, I think it exists on a clinician to clinician basis, but we're trying to like make it a little more formal.
Carol, you're Methodist, right?
No, not anymore. Maimonides.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you moved? Okay. Yeah, so it's very important because sometimes you find the hospitals, they have the clientele is just so huge
Mhm.
and they need that extra help, so it's important
Yeah.
to partner with them. And if
Definitely.
you want me to connect you with Dr. Hutchins, behavioral health in this county, I can do that.
Okay,
And then so you can have a dialogue with her.
great, thank
Right.
you.
Okay, so anyone else have any questions for the two ladies? And thank you ladies, wonderful. You know, we got everything. You were fast like me, I talk real fast, you were like me, but we got it. We understand it, and you took your time and you gave it to us. It's very important. I'm happy and I'm happy to hear that you said you will be coming back again. We need you to do this information. It's not for one time, it is for continual things, you know, so we really appreciate you taking the time to be here, and the floor is open for whoever has any questions for you ladies.
2 questions. Thank you both for coming. Both of your information definitely relevant, because I have somebody battling colon cancer right now, and she just turned 50. So I know how important that is. And I'm sorry I couldn't get to be a part of this study, but I'll definitely pass this information on. And also, for you, I was just wondering, will this, the idea of the mobile med units, I like that concept. Will you be moving around in the neighborhood, like from, I guess once your partnerships have been established, you'll be able to find a location. I'm just wondering, is it just one truck that will be going through, just Crown Heights or throughout all of Brooklyn?
It's a good question. So it's one vehicle. We're looking to partner with probably like 4 to 5 different programs. And we're really looking at Crown Heights, East New York, and Far Rockaway, just based on kind of the need-based criteria I shared before. If programs have parking lots, that's amazing. If they don't, we'll have to like really, we'll engage the blocks around them either way, but we'll have to make sure that there's parking that's like not disruptive and it's acceptable. And it will generally be once a week to each, because of, depending on the needs of the partner, like they can hold medication if we come once a week, so.
Sounds like a good idea. Will security be on that, Brad?
Yes, there's a lot of requirements around security, so.
Next person? Mr. Tandy, you have any questions?
I think it's really a very good, program and reaching out, especially in New York City. So many different communities, layers with different kind of barriers and challenges. So to be proactive, to go toward communities and to make them feel comfortable to engage, it is very important.
Thank you. Go ahead,
I do have a question for both of you. But, you first. So I see you have, this has a lot of different stuff, which
Yes.
is wonderful. How vast is your, like, do you have like mental health providers on your staff there? Because one thing I do notice as a resident who grew up here in Crown Heights, this area is very, very, very starved of mental health services. Am I right, Fran?
Very, very.
They're, I could say from my own personal experience, finding healthcare providers was super rough, and that was even with insurance. I can only imagine without the folks without it. How does that work with, say, like if they don't have insurance but they still need XYZ there? How are y'all meeting the demand?
Yeah, so I feel like there's maybe 2 questions in there as far as like mental health providers on the van. There'll be a core staff of I'm blanking on what it is right now, but there will be like a core staff of providers that are needed to dispense the medication, and then like rotating based on the facility's needs between like an addiction counselor, a peer, and mental health provider, and we'll also, to fill gaps, like connect with residents over like telehealth in between visits. So we do like, especially from what we hear from nursing homes, there's a significant need for mental health services. So we will be prioritizing that. So for those who don't have any insurance coverage, I mean, first we work with them to try to help them see if they can get coverage, but I know that there's, you know, there's some gaps in, you know, what is available to folks. We have a like sliding pay scale for out of pocket, but we're also working on being able to provide, like our new chief medical officer, we can provide like limited no cost care to folks without insurance. But that, and I think it will also, there's probably, if they're in a residential care program, like I think there's probably some nuances in there as far as like what kind of coverage they have. But yeah, sorry, that's kind of a piecemeal answer. Does that answer your question?
Mostly.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. And my question to you is, I believe what you provide, the information you provide is also very vast and very important, because I have been reading multiple journal articles throughout that colorectal cancer is among the rise among young people,
Yeah.
20s,
Yeah.
30s,
Yes.
which surprised me. Is there any like resources per se, like getting access? I'm already familiar with Fit Kits. Is there a way to access those, like for the younger folks who that is affected by, to like
So
test and find out before it gets to that point of return?
So there are a couple of things, and I'll preface by saying I'm not a doctor, so
Right,
don't take what I say as medical advice.
right.
Some options include genetic testing. So some people are predisposed to develop colorectal cancer because of genetics. So some insurance companies, and you know, we can have a whole separate conversation about what's available for people with insurance versus without insurance. Some insurance companies will cover genetic testing to see if you're at risk for developing cancer. Another conversation to have, in which it requires patients to be advocates for themselves, is if they notice that something is changing or different about their bowel movements. So again, I'll use myself as the example. Every time I go to the doctor, I'm very anxious. I'm a very anxious person, so talking about mental health. I go to my provider and I say, I have these issues with my bowel movement. There's a history of colorectal cancer in my family. Like, can you talk to me about what my options are? Sometimes they'll say, like, if you're really worried, you can get a colonoscopy. The issue is it's not always covered by insurance. But you could advocate for yourself and ask for a colonoscopy. Those are really the options at this point. It's just worth having a conversation with your healthcare provider about what's going on, being honest, you know, doing what you can to reduce your risk, not smoking, reducing your alcohol consumption, eating a healthy diet, those types of things. It's hard to know what can exactly prevent it or catch it super early, but typically that's what is recommended. I know that doesn't really help, because I'd love to go to my doctor and because I want a colonoscopy every year.
Different has those. Yeah, the young one has to live. It's already affected.
I'd be uncomfortable to do.
Yeah.
There, you just take and have I have cards as well.
Okay.
But just talk to a doctor. Maybe they'll be able to get you a fit kit. So some health centers do have fit kits and other tests on site that they will give to patients to take home and complete with the kit. So
Can you order Cologuard from the website? So I know that.
I don't know. Potentially. I know there were questions about Cologuard access for uninsured patients, and I believe, at least with health centers, they were able to do it that Cologuard could be covered for uninsured patients. I just don't know if we can order it directly.
I see.
Again, ladies, thank you guys
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Looking
much.
forward to
Thank
getting
you
more
very
from
much. Is that
you
one of my
guys,
cards, or is that
great
solid?
information.
This one?
Cause I might have,
And
okay, good, good, great.
I thank you,
It's, it's.
Oh,
committee
thank you.
members, for being here. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys, because we remember the suspect we haven't, we would like those information. It's now 8:11. We are adjourning the meeting, and I thank you again so much for coming. Have a safe night, get home safely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome.
Sure.
Yes, have a good night,